So none of the Marxist thinkers, like none of these major thinkers, are from the proletariat, which otherwise would be okay, fine. But if you're saying that truth is only understood by this working class, and you're telling them what the truth is, and you're not from that class, it doesn't quite make sense. Like, it just doesn't fit. This doesn't really, it's not coherent. Okay. Then he actually deals with this question at one point. And so he talks about the fact that a lot of the proletariat are not in agreement with Marxism. Right? Like they're not in agreement with Marxism. That most of the proletariat are like totally disagree. And I mean, if you look at the United States today, we still have, there is still a communist party in the United States. Not that it's particularly big, but it exists. And if you look at the proletariat in the United States, well, who are those who are like the factory workers? Well, they're the people in the Rust Belt, and I've lived in the Rust Belt, many times in different parts of the Rust Belt, and those are like those are the big Trump supporters these days. So if you ask the supposed proletariat, if you're going to go kind of classical Marxism, like none of them they'd be the most anti-Marxist people that there are. So like, how does this work if they're the ones that can see the truth? It's kind of odd. Well, when people start to question this, Lukács says that this is opportunism. Opportunism is when you confuse the views of actual working class people with what he calls the class consciousness of the proletariat. So there is a difference between what the proletariat actually believes, if you actually ask them one-on-one, if you do a survey of these people, that's different from the underlying class consciousness that exists there. So if the class consciousness doesn't actually show up in the views of the people that are part of that class, who are supposedly the only ones that can really grasp truth and reality or anything, who determines what class consciousness is? Because it doesn't fit. Well, who determines what's good for the proletariat or what class consciousness is? The communist elites. Lukács. This is what you find with, and this is true, that in communist societies, those who have the most power are intellectuals. So Marxist intellectuals take the place of kings and clergy. They become the religious leaders. They are the ones who determine what's right and wrong. They're the ones who determine what's really good for you and what you really want. So, maybe you think you want this, but really you've got to listen to the Marxist intellectual, because they really know what's good for you. They really know what your class consciousness is. And so I think this stands out continually as the problem for Marxism, is that there are many problems, but this is a very significant one. But continually, Marxism supposedly fights for the working class, but at the same time, the working class isn't the one largely that supports these ideas, and they by and large reject the ideas of the working class for intellectual elites. So you end up trading what you call the bourgeoisie for a new bourgeoisie, which is the Marxist intellectuals who control media and work in academic institutions and tell the proletariat what's really good for them.